Welcome to episode 55 of Crave the Book. In today's episode, Amber and I cover chapters 59 through 63 of Tracy Wolff Covet. And in this episode, we finally enter Falia's treehouse and learn where the blacksmith has been. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. What's up, guys? It's episode 55. Super duper exciting episode today.
It's not like the chapter 55 that we all know and love.
I know.
It's gonna be zero spice.
Yeah, no chapter 55 and chill, unfortunately.
No.
A very select few will get that reference, but if you do, we love you. Guys, be sure to join our Facebook group. I just saw that we had somebody join today. That is Crave the Book Podcast Tea Room. Come hang out with us. Come chat with us.
Have you got automatic member approval on? Because every time I go to accept someone they've already been accepted.
Yeah, I've got admin assist.
Or is that Phoenix?
It's either Phoenix or it's our admin assist. Letting them in, I'm not sure. But either way, welcome to everybody who has joined. I did want to point out that we received an email from a listener. It was quite long, so otherwise I would read it. But she basically was very upset at us for hating on Jackson as much as we do, because she wants us to love both of the Vega brothers evenly. And I do want to point out that a majority of our listeners are going to be younger than us, I would assume. I don't know.
Yeah, we're old.
I'm not sure. I think that we have a pretty even mix, but it's always our younger listeners who I think get upset at us when we hate on Jackson. And it's not necessarily, let me be clear. I don't hate Jackson. Just like everybody else in the first book, I was digging Jackson. Because that's how Tracy...
I was not.
Yeah, well, Tracy intended... You have to consider what Tracy intended when she wrote the books. There's a reason that Tracy wrote the books the way that she did. And I am just following the maze with the cheese in it that Tracy wrote for me. She wrote the book with a very defined path where you're supposed to fall for Jackson. You're supposed to hurt when Jackson and Grace's mating bond is severed, but by that time, you've already built a relationship to Hudson and formed trust with Hudson, and then the relationship with Hudson begins. That is what it was intended. If you don't like that particular path, that's okay, but understand that I'm enjoying the books as they're intended. Amber's enjoying the books as they're intended. We hate on Jackson a lot, but we're doing that as 30-year-old women who have been married and with, I've been with my husband for 12 years. So I'm calling out unhealthy behavior that I am observing from a teenager. I'm looking at this from the perspective of, and I know that a lot of, our young listeners are like, she sounds like my mom. But I have a 10-year-old daughter. So I also, not only do I get to live as that teenage girl reading this series and enjoying this series and pretending that I'm a high schooler again and falling in love with the hot boy vampires. At the same time, I'm also looking at this realistically, like, okay, if my daughter was dating this little douchebag, and he's not that bad. Jackson, to me, is not nearly as bad as Edward Cullen is. And, I was totally an Edward Cullen fangirl.
Oh, Christian Grey.
Yeah, Christian Grey is an entirely different type of abusive. He's not.
Well, Christian Grey was Edward.
Yeah.
It was a fanfic.
Christian, but I feel that Christian was written to be a lot more severe because he incorporates in not just kink abuse, but actual physical abuse out of actual rage, as opposed to, fantasy. He's not acting out scenes for the sake of fantasy. At the end of the first 50 Shades book, he really wails on Anna.
He does.
And he is enjoying harming her. He's enjoying doing her harm. Mm-hmm. So that's the extreme. I think that Edward is definitely worse than Jackson. But Jackson still, he's not a little saint. I'm not saying...
The vampires are different, though. they're different. Like, I think a lot of Edward's quandary was that he genuinely could harm Bella at any given point. He didn't trust himself.
Yeah. No, I completely, and I agree with that as well. And I'm rereading them again. I always reread them in August. And now I've read them so many times that I'm to the point where I'm not even seeing them as like, when I used to read them, I was all in love with the characters. And now I'm reading them almost like I'm looking in on a friend's relationship, because I've lost my attraction for the characters in that romantic way. And I'm almost like observing them as people a lot more, which allows me to be more critical of their behavior. You almost have to, in order to observe good behavior and bad behavior when it comes to love interests, you almost have to view them as if they are not somebody that you're romantically interested in. So just to summarize, we don't dislike Jackson. He's fine. But I can
Hudson's the better choice.
Hudson is the better choice. And if he wasn't, the book wouldn't be about him. If you have, if you prefer Jackson, I understand it. The same as many people prefer Tamlin and A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I also notice it a lot. I notice it a lot with readers from specific countries. And I've said this before, because I feel that there are some countries where, like, the woman, hoorah, don't need no man mentality, the female strong protagonist is what is aspired towards. America, the UK, that's where Amber and I are from. We are very much woman hoorah. You don't need no man. You're a strong, independent woman. However,
but secretly in the bedroom, we are.
Exactly. And then when they come and puff their chest at just the right moment, then it's like, okay, I'll have a little bit of that. But I also noticed that there are countries where that's not the standard. We have to talk about the social norms of countries where the male role is to primarily be the protector and the female role is to stand by and be the moral support. And when that's the norm and that's what you've grown up with your entire life, that's perfectly fine. Or if you're young and you haven't yet experienced the restraint of having a man tell you that, you can't do that because you're a woman. If you haven't ever had that happen to you, that's fantastic. I'm very, very happy for you. But it really does change your perception. So just keep in mind that there are cultural differences, the way that you were raised, the way that we were raised, the things that we find to be attractive based on our age and life experience. And, like I said, me having been married for 12 years, and I got with my husband when I was the same age that Grace is supposed to be right now. And I could not imagine being with a Jackson-like character without him changing. If he were to just remain a constant, I would not find that to be a tolerable relationship. So, yeah.
No, I would feel quite like suffocated and stifled.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether it's like a part of Grace's character, but she always wants to go and see them, and she always wants to be with Macy. She never really obviously wants to be alone, and that's very much part of my life. So I haven't really seen her actually function without Jackson or Hudson there.
Yeah, and she doesn't know what to do when she's alone. I'm like I said, I'm reading Crush with Taylor now, and she talks about anytime Hudson wasn't in her head, she felt she didn't know what to do. She felt completely, isolated. She just walked around her bedroom touching things because she didn't know what to do with herself,
Yeah.
Which also isn't.
So I would like to see some character development there where she actually is a bit more independent of them, and that does not mean that she's grown out of them or moved on from them. It means that she's becoming her own person, but she's so enveloped in their world that she's incapable of having a day without leaning on other people.
Yeah. I mean, I think we saw some of that towards the end of during court. I think we saw a little bit more Grace independence beginning to flourish. But anyway,
you spoke a little bit about how you perceive reading, where you're reading and you kind of like are following, specifically Twilight. You said that you're following it as if it's a friend's relationship that you're watching. When you're reading, how do you see yourself in that world? Are you like an extra person?
No, it's bird's eye perspective. So, for example, like reading, I mean, Court of Silver Flames is probably my all-time favorite book. I just think I love the perspective shift. I love changing between the characters. I love everything about that book. And it's not one of those things where like I am Nesta because she's way more badass than I am. It's being able to sympathize with a character and feel their emotions and allow their emotions to flow through you at just the right moments. And honestly, this is my first time reading through Twilight where I'm not getting those feelings. I used to reread it because I wanted that pain from New Moon. I haven't been
wanted that pain.
I haven't been broken up with in so long that
you should ask Marc whether he'd reenact it for you.
Just for a minute, yeah. Just leave
me
in the woods
just for the day.
No, but sometimes when your life is blissful, you turn on a sad movie or you turn on a sad song so that you can have a little bit of that drama in your life. I think that's something.
No,
I think that's something. Every once in a while, I need to feel sad, and nothing sad happens in my life. Sometimes I run out of peanut butter when I've already gotten the bread out, and I'm very disappointed. But I've never, laying down in the woods, sitting in my chair with the camera panning around me for 4 months. So sometimes I need to turn on possibility and be sad Bella. And the only way I can get that is through reading the Twilight series, which I am very sad to say that after reading it this time around, I didn't get as many of my sad feels. I'm coasting through it. So I think it's time to put it away for a couple years. But yeah, anyway, I'm hoping that I don't lose those feelings with the Ethereum, because I get similar feelings from the Ethereum, so I'm hoping I don't lose those.
Nah, because it is based on the fact that you've read Twilight every single year.
That's not true.
It pretty much
I've
came
only
out.
read the books 3 times. This will be my 3rd read through.
Oh no!
I've seen the movies like a good.
This will be my Covet's 3rd read through.
Yeah, this will be my Covet's 3rd read through. So I'm
was just so jaded.
Well, I'm going to be reading it for a 4th read through as well with Taylor.
Can't feel the pain.
I can't feel it anymore.
So I experience reading a book as if I'm a cameraman.
Oh yeah.
Like following them, like action. Like I'm the director.
Oh.
But I have to keep watching, even though it's the take that I didn't want. I'm like, no, you're stupid. Why are you doing that?
I'm just thinking of like a weird like porn director standing in the corner.
Yeah, just sat there.
What are you doing? No,
I'm not going to finish that sentence.
Don't put that there.
No, I'm just like an unwilling participant of watching a movie for 8 hours, however long it takes me to read it.
It's just the mating bond. No!
Shut up. But yeah, and I'll get like, there's like amazing cinematic viewpoints, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then my husband pipes in like, babe, I'm hungry. And I'm like, God damn it. You've ruined my shot.
Now I got to reread it over again and choreograph the scene in my head and make sure I can smell the air.
Yeah, I have no idea what was going on as well, and I feel like I've read the same page 4 times since I come back to this book.
It's beginning to lose the atmosphere. Not very many books create such a vivid atmosphere where you're immersed in the world. I feel like Katmere Academy in particular, that is a place that I feel familiar with. It's the only location I feel super familiar with in the Crave series.
I invent like Hans Zimmer music in my head as well, like do 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 do. As I'm like pretending to be a dragon flying through, I'm like, whoa!
You're turning the book from side to side like it's a controller.
Yeah, and like there might be a scene where like in the book reading it, you're in the room, but actually my director's cut is I'm Flint flying past the window, and as you fly past the window, the camera goes through the window, and then you're suddenly in the scene.
I was just picturing Flint doing like flybys, but he's only catching like a glimpse in like one sentence, like Hudson, I really think that the
She's toasty. Anyway, it's been 17 minutes and we've not spoken about a single thing to do with the chapters.
Speed round.
Whoa. Wait. So, number 1, spoilers. If you've not listened to any of our episodes before, there is a noise you need to be listening out for. Starla, would you like to say what the noise is?
Yeah, it goes, ah, woo, 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 woo. And after that, if you haven't read Covet and Court, you need to turn the podcast off and go away. So listen for Owl Woo and go away if you haven't read Covet and Court, because we will ruin the books for you because we have theories.
We will.
And Tracy Wolff is going to be going on tour. I do not know. It's quite a drive. It's going to be, I mean, you have to go to a different country, so I can't complain too much.
I do.
What, you? Don't you?
So yes, I do. So I will be going, hopefully, to the Barcelona signing tour thing. And I'm hopefully going to be meeting with Tracy Wolff for either a coffee or an interview. We're not sure yet, depending on her schedule. But we're also waiting for the announcement to actually be where it is in Barcelona, because there are a few TBAs for the location. So if I can't make it to Barcelona because the tickets have all sold out by the time I wake up in the morning, I will probably be going to the Madrid one. And I'm more than happy to meet and greet people in the bookshop where we are meeting Tracy Wolff. So it's also safe for me as well. But I'm more than happy to meet people there, because I know that we have quite a few Spanish listeners. So.
Awesome. I don't know if I'm going to be anywhere, but if I do, it'll be one of the areas around Ohio, which were like Pennsylvania and I think Illinois.
There was Michigan, Illinois, Tennessee, but my brain goes, just because they're neighboring states doesn't mean it's close to
No,
you.
you going to a different country is closer than what I would have to drive. I'm looking at like a 5-hour drive. So,
so would I be if I drove.
Oh, you're gonna
it would be an hour to the airport, so I would probably be going from like London Heathrow or Gatwick.
Oh.
Not really sure. And then going from one airport to the other, so I could get a direct flight to Barcelona, and I think it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. So not long at all. And then I'm in Spain, and everybody speaks Spanish.
Well, good thing you speak Spanish.
And I can go get churros, and I can go get, oh my God, guys, I think if you're a Spanish listener, I'm going to Cien Montaditos. It's like a little sandwich, it's a sandwich place where you write down the number of the sandwich you want. Where like they have,
I would do that anyway.
It's like a catalog.
I'm not gonna pronounce any of that. I want a number 17 with a large Diet Coke.
Exactly. I want a platter of 17s with a side order of 6. It's my favorite place. But it's so cheap, and each like sandwich is like €1 each. It's great.
All right.
So I'm gonna go there, wherever there is one. And it was the city where I got proposed to. So on the day after my wedding anniversary, I'm going alone to Barcelona because Mr. Amber Marie is at work.
Well, we'll keep you guys posted, and you can keep us posted. And then if we are able to pull off going to these fantabulous places, you'll be able to maybe meet us, but we'll let you know a little closer to time, because I still got to figure it.
I'm also hoping that I can get the Spanish versions of the books as well, because I have a bookcase full of internationally versions of all of my favorite books. So I might be able to get all of the Spanish versions of the books as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have them for sale right there.
Because of course I need more copies of these books.
Well, yeah.
Because I don't already have enough.
All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
To get into the chapters. So the chapters that we did read today were 59 through to 63 of Covet.
Yes, and we are heading into Falia's sad treehouse. I was going to say magic treehouse, but
Treehouse of sadness.
it's not very. It's magic, but it's also very sad. And they, our little crew, Grace and Hudson and Eden and Flint and Mackay, because Macy and Jackson are still off having fun. They are trying to figure.
Well, Jackson is.
Yeah, Jackson is.
Ooh, my puppy is shouting.
If you guys hear puppy sounds,
She's tantruming hard downstairs.
that's okay.
But anyway, yeah. So they're talking about the sound that this house is like emulating, and Eden says it sounds as though her heart is breaking. And then Grace goes, "No, it sounds like her heart is already broken and has been for a very, very long time. I recognize the sound." And I was like, "Shut up, Grace. You're 17. What concept of like 1,000 years of grief do you truly have because you broke up with your boyfriend?"
I mean, unless she's talking about her parents dying, which still I don't think would be.
But even still, only happened realistically for her 6 months ago. 7 months ago.
Yeah, I can't imagine 1,000 years of, and it's magical grief. So it's not like grief that you can forget about. It's like magically binding. So it's
Yeah, like she has no chance of stopping it.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
It's a miserable house. And as they're trying to get into the house, this house is like
Nope.
It's acting back. It's like, no, I'm gonna remove the stairs. And no, I'm gonna throw pine cones at you. And it just makes me think of like Home Alone, where the house is just attacking back, like, no, you can't get in.
What? It's not a pine tree. Why does it have pine cones?
I don't know,
This isn't.
but I think it's really funny that it has pine cones.
It just saves a little baggie of pine cones for this exact occasion. Just throwing them. In California, we had pine cones. I think you saw one when you were at my house. That giant
ones.
That giant pine cone. Yeah, they're called widowmakers because if they fall from a tree and hit you in the head, they'll kill you. Yeah, they're giant.
I'm hoping that like maybe this house borrows from neighboring trees.
May I have
I need some ammo.
pine cones?
I need some ammo.
Well,
Maybe it's like a snowball
yeah,
fight, but for trees.
Jackson said you have to build up an arsenal, which, yeah. So they're trying to. Luca just decides to jump into her frickin' house, and the tree knocks him back down. Oh, that was a bright idea. But finally, they see her up on a platform crying, and everybody's like, "Hello, hello."
It's like, can we come in? Hello.
And then she just like appears down the steps. Because they assume they're like, okay, she's not going to let us in. But then she just poofs down by the steps and is wondering why these children are standing outside of her house while she clearly wants to be alone.
Just like watching her cry. This is a pastime of theirs. And then she offers them tea because they said that they wanted to talk about her husband. And I was like, I never got offered tea. Not a single time in America. Not a single time. Not by anybody. So, like, unless it was a piss take of like, do you want some tea?
That would be like,
you stupid British person.
I would expect like if I went to like a rich grandma's house, she would offer me tea and it would be fancy because it's British. If someone offers you tea, they're offering you iced tea. Hey, do you want some tea? Yeah, and they bring you a big glass of iced tea with like a lemon wedge on it.
Stop putting lemon in tea.
It makes it citrusy and delicious.
No.
Yeah.
And she honey. Stop putting honey.
No,
in
that's
tea
what that
as
that
well.
Makes it so.
Like, where's the milk?
Most people don't do that. I do that, but most people don't do that.
Nah, it has to be nice, a nice milky brew.
No, most people don't do that. That we reserve that for coffee. I do it. I like coffee creamer in my tea because then yeah, it gives it a little flavor. I put a little bit of hazelnut coffee creamer in my tea.
No. Oh my God. You're just ruining tea. No wonder you chucked it in the ocean. You've been doing it wrong.
Well, yeah, but we have to do it different than you.
I see.
That's the only reason that people in the U.S. don't like the idea of bidets, because we associated bidets with the French. Having a clean butt, we associated with the French. Therefore, we decided
don't want to have a clean butt.
Therefore, we stopped using bidets. I did not stop using bidet. I love my bidet. My butt's.
But you also do pigs in blankets wrong. But they're superior.
It's a hot dog in a crescent.
In a crescent. Don't say it.
Crescent.
Don't say
a crescent roll. No, there's a difference. There's a difference between a crescent roll and a croissant.
Oh my God, you said it wrong anyway. You had time to prepare. I didn't put you on the spot.
Croissant.
Oh God. I apologize to any French listeners there.
There's a meme. There's a video of a
croissant.
A TikTok of a girl asking her French dad for a croissant, and he gets irate at her.
It's like the TikToks of like Italian boyfriends watching their girlfriends cook pasta.
No. But so they're offered tea and cookies, and Flint.
The giant cookie as big as her head.
Yeah, and didn't they just eat and talk about how they couldn't eat anymore?
They did. Yep. I'm wondering what kind of cookie, because you guys have a different idea of what a cookie is. Like you think cookie as like as sweet.
Yeah. Like a chocolate chip cookie.
But if I gave you a custard cream, which is a cookie in ours, like it's a biscuit, you call that a cookie?
That's
too.
A grandma cookie.
A grandma cookie?
Yeah, like grandmas have like butter cookies and like wedding cookies and the cookies that come in the tin that...
Wedding cookies? What are wedding cookies? Is it like wedding soup where you just put loads of crap in it?
No, it's like a lump covered in powdered sugar that doesn't...
A lump covered... I'm going to have to Google
Yeah, you probably have to put like American wedding cookies. Yeah, it's like cookies that...
No, I've got like the monogrammed biscuit cookies.
No, cookie...
Where it's like a heart.
If the cookie... a cookie in the U.S., it needs to be like a chocolate chip cookie or...
Oh, I see them. They're like biscotti kind of looking.
What?
A biscotti, like the Italian biscuits that are made of amaretto.
Aren't they speculoos?
That's Dutch.
Oh, well,
those are like gingerbread biscuits.
Oh, biscotti. Yeah, biscotti is more like a sweet slice of bread that is a crouton also.
Mm-hmm. With almonds through it. These look like
lumps.
Sad amaretti.
They're not very good. There's no flavor.
They look dry.
They are dry. They like crumble in your mouth. I feel like all of your cookies are dry though. Or they have like...
Yeah, but you're supposed to dunk them. You're supposed to dunk them in your tea and your coffee.
See, I like cookies that are so...
Nobody eats biscuits dry.
Oh, I want like a big gooey chocolate chip cookie that is so goopy that like you dip it...
That floats.
If you try to dip it, it just falls apart and starts floating in little chunks.
See, that to us is a far from superior cookie. That is an inferior biscuit.
No.
We have, in fact, engineered a biscuit called a hobnob.
I like the hobnobs.
That you can dunk multiple times in tea and it still retains its structure.
Okay, you guys know when you get like an oatmeal cookie, but you let it get stale for like 4 months and it's like a brick? That's a hobnob. It's good. It tastes good, but you have to dip it or else it's too hard and it'll break your teeth.
Yeah, they're made of oats.
Yeah, like an oatmeal cookie.
Oaty goodness.
Anyway.
And then we have the biscuits like the digestives, which like you have mostly with cheese.
Yeah, I liked...
They're like the granary cookie.
Those were good too. They were also good. Because they were covered in chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, this giant, she's been making these cookies with her grandchildren, and then she goes, yeah, they normally go to waste. I'm like, bitch, why aren't you freezing these and selling these? You would be able to sell giant cookies so easily.
Yeah, or give them to some. Don't just throw them in the trash. My kids make me these. I usually just throw them away. Like,
what makes me laugh is you think of like people love miniature versions of things and they love giant versions of things.
Yeah.
And she's throwing a business investment in the thing.
I know.
For 1,000 years.
That's a lot of cookies. Because you make like...
She was pregnant with the twins, she said, when Vader went...
Vander.
Went.
Vader.
Darth Vander. So they must be 1,000 years old themselves. And then they have also got children, because she said the grandchildren. So how old are they? And they're still baking cookies at Grandma's house?
I mean, maybe they're great. They're grandkid.
But she must be devastating them. These poor children.
I know. They're like, just keep bringing her the cookies. Someday maybe she'll be happy.
Yeah.
Keep reaching out your hand. Yeah.
But yeah, she's giving them tea, and she's talking about how
sorry for the mess.
She said she's like, I'm sorry, I haven't had visitors in a long while, because she forgets how to boil a kettle. And Hudson's like, don't worry, I'll get it. Meanwhile, everybody sat on like giant step stools, so they all had to climb in to sit at the table. And yeah, she was like, sorry, I haven't had visitors in a long while. And I'm like, if that was me saying that, that would be like, excuse the 1,000 years of clutter I've accumulated. And I've definitely neglected to vacuum, dust, and decobweb. And I couldn't even speed clean because you didn't tell me you were coming. So I couldn't light a candle to get rid of any stale air. And I couldn't even put the dirty plates in the oven to hide them.
Oh, yeah. Don't come to my house unannounced. I will not apologize for the mess. You can sit on the pile of dirty laundry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you can breathe my stale air.
They didn't, and there wasn't a mess. They didn't say like, oh, there was a pile of McDonald's bags in the corner. Like,
no. And there would be.
I'm definitely that house where I invite people over and I'm like, I apologize for the mess. And they look around and they're like, what mess? And there's like one sock on the floor.
I've been tidying for 6 hours before you came around.
Sorry, I'm just saying sorry for the mess to be a prude right now.
And do you know what I hate? People coming over unannounced and then going, oh, it's a bit cold in there, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, we adjust the temperature of the house for us, not for you.
Bring a jacket.
If we knew you were coming, we would have warmed it up a little bit. We have corgis. If we have the heating on, they would sit at the back door going, we have a cold house, okay? We don't need heaters because we put jumpers on.
Which are sweaters for all of our Americans.
Yeah, but people come in, they take off their coat and they go, oh, it's really cold in there, isn't it? And you're like, go away, leave my house.
Put your coat back on.
Would you rather be outside? But yeah. So anyway, they then get onto the conversation of a promise ring because Falia, or however you pronounce her name, notices that Grace is also wearing one. And essentially
she's got an itchy finger.
And it's an unbreakable bond, essentially. As long as you have the ring on, the promise must be fulfilled. But as long as it isn't fulfilled, it will burn and itch every day. Unless the giver dies. So she knows for as long as she's wearing the ring and it's still itching that her husband is still alive because he promised her that he will always come back to her.
That sounds like the worst excuse for giving somebody an STD ever. Like, no, it's a magical wart. It'll itch. That way you know that I'm okay. It doesn't matter where in the world I am. If your magical wart itches, you'll know that I am being faithful and definitely not cheating on you.
No, baby, you were the first, the last, my everything.
My only.
My constant. Shut up.
Oh, God. Or-
But yeah, and then she essentially says, yeah, if Hudson goes to prison, go with him or you will want to die.
You'll get itchy too.
real cheery. That was a bit depressing when she was like, oh shit, not only do I have to go, oh, Hudson went to prison without me, it's I'm also going to like grieve him. And they also find out that no one has ever returned from the Ethereum ever.
Yeah.
Ever. No one has ever escaped.
Well, I mean, they would want people to think that too, though.
Yeah. But there was some element of truth, like, to it, where, like, she's like, genuinely no one has ever escaped, because why would Cyrus make an inescapable prison have a back door? There is no way out. He is literally throwing you in and throwing away the key because he wants to keep you there. He doesn't keep you there to punish you for your crimes. He keeps you there because he doesn't want to ever have you out.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have like a really depressing meeting. So they obviously find out that Vander the giant blacksmith is in the inescapable prison, which just so happens to be the place where Hudson has to go.
It sounds like a simple solution to me.
Yeah, and they return back to the group, and Macy's like, so I'm gonna have a wedding soon, the giant vampire wedding. She's like super, super excited and happy and like making jokes and jovial, and everybody else comes back from the lady who wants to kill herself out of spite for her husband. And they're all depressed. So she's like, oh, wrong time.
Like I see
soon?
that the happy faces are not in town. I'll save my joyous announcements for later.
Yep. And I'm going to be honest, I thought that Flint gets drunk. But
You're thinking of the Ethereum.
I thought he got drunk at the Giant Village because he did the globus, whatever
I don't think he did. I thought that was just
He did not, because they have to escape suddenly.
Yeah, they got...
So clearly. And they don't go back.
Yeah, the watch shows up because Brownbeard... It was
Brownbeard when a man bun is no
blonde man bun. There was blonde man bun and Brownbeard, and Brownbeard comes and says that the watch is there to arrest Prince Vega, and of course the giant princess. She's like, "Oh no!" Because she thinks
my betrothed.
She thinks it's Jackson, so she rushes them out a back entrance. But my thought is like, these are pretty shitty guards. If they just let him go.
But they didn't. Like, they think that they've escaped them and are running. Apparently, they're running as fast as they possibly can. And everybody has just volunteered the vampires to be the donkeys of the operation. And I just imagine Flint going, yeah! I wonder who was carrying who. Like, so we've got the vampires. We have got Mackay,
Jackson and Hudson.
Luca. Jackson and Hudson. Who is carrying who?
Luca's got Flint, for sure. We've got Eden. I'm saying Mackay's got Macy.
Yeah.
So Jackson would either Jackson or Hudson would have to have Eden. Who are we missing?
Well, Grace is flying.
Is that everybody? So one of the vampires isn't going to have somebody to carry.
I reckon Hudson, because he's like, no, my hands are for my own girl, my baby. Yeah. I just think it's really weird to just imagine them like, okay, yeah.
Giddy up.
They had to have the conversation of like, okay, guys, you've got to carry us out of here, and not have the awkward conversation of who's carrying who. Just
grab them.
They just pick them up. And I think it would be really funny if like it was Jackson carrying Flynn.
Mush.
Just he's like, yeah. Little back, like piggyback, or do you reckon he was doing like fireman lift, or do you reckon it was like a couple?
I was thinking like I was
one on the back, one on the bottom.
I'm picturing them holding them like babies, like cradling them
like little baby monkeys with their like legs wrapped around.
Better hold on tight, spider monkey.
No, it's like maybe like, you know how like dads carry children like on their shoulders. Yeah. And holding their hands like, yeah.
Oh my God, that would be the best solution. All they need to do is get a giant trench coat, and then they would fit in with the giants and no one would know. That's the best disguise. Yes. That always works.
Why didn't they do
Look at me. I am a regular-sized giant. Haha. Hee-hee-ho.
Yeah, so they get surrounded by the guards, which apparently Grace is the first person to notice.
And they're all in red, too.
Somehow.
I'm trying to picture, like, I'm picturing the Star Wars uniforms that are all red. They're just, like, I'm picturing, I don't know what I'm picturing. It's like Volturi, but red.
Yeah.
And then there's...
I don't know why, but a clone came into my head.
Yeah, that's...
Just... Yeah, and he's like, don't worry, we know that Macy and Grace are the only students left with powers. Like, everybody else has got the manacles on them. And I'm just like, wow, the only two students that are still related to Finn. I smell favoritism.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they got in trouble and just never got the punishment? Or do you reckon they're just such goody two-shoes that they never got in trouble
They
anyway?
haven't done anything. They really haven't.
Yeah, but how could they have been the only ones to have not done something? At no point were they attacked?
Maybe because Finn thinks that they're not capable of harming anybody, but he knows that the dragons are, because they're big, and
That sounds racist.
and the vampires.
Not gonna lie.
The vampires obviously have all gotten into fights, but Macy and Grace, they really haven't done anything throughout the entire books, where every other character, other than Eden, every other character has done some type of fighting or instigating.
Yeah, they're a bit useless.
Yeah, so I think that Grace and Macy are just squishy. They're squishies.
But yeah, Jackson goes, come on, Macy, I'm going to need you to build the fastest portal ever. And she's like, already on it. Boo. And she starts like getting all the candles and shit out. And then Jackson does the most uncomfortable sentence ever. Did you cringe? I cringed.
Which one?
He's like, you want to stop now, or you're going to have to face my wrath.
Face my wrath. Yeah. I liked...
And I was like, oh, cringe.
Well, I transfixed on Hudson saying true Reginald, which was apparently the main, like, ringleader of all these little bad guys, the Watch. But was that supposed to be British? Say it in British.
Reginald.
No, he said it slow. He enunciated. Reginald. Like it.
Reginald.
Yeah, it was separated out. REGI-Nald. Red.
I like to think that it's a name that he's just made up for this guy who's actually called Brian.
Yeah, he keeps calling him Reggie, which is what we call. That's what you call like stanky weed. Here you call it. Somebody's smoking some Reggie.
Why?
I don't know.
I see. Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure.
No further
I'm
questions.
sure there's a reason.
Reggie.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for all the Reggies in the land.
It's like
apparently your name means stinky.
Yeah, when
weed.
you walk past you're just walking down the street and you're like, somebody's smoking some stinky Reggie. Gross.
So mean. That's so mean to
There's so many
Reginalds.
names like that though. What about I'm gonna go to the John.
How many people actually say
A lot
that,
of people
though?
here. I'm gonna go to the John.
Nah, no one. Like whenever you say like, "Oh, I need your signature," and then people say like John Hancock, that's weird to me.
That's not very. That's something that you see in movies. Nobody does. They do it to be funny. Let me put my John Hancock on this, haha. And then the receptionist is.
Do you know what the female equivalent name is?
the Queen?
Jill Hancock.
Oh.
Like Jill is not the like opposite of John.
No.
John and Jill.
John Doe
No.
and
Jane Doe.
So it would be Jane. John and
Yeah,
Jane.
but no, somebody went with Jill.
Well, that's just silly.
Stupid. But yeah. Yeah. So anyway, there's this moment where Grace just suddenly goes, I have an idea, and drops to the floor.
And she starts twerking like a mad woman.
Yeah, she's got like bum in the air, hands on the floor, wide as well. I'm just imagining like some interpretive dance.
The bad guys just leave. And they're like, okay, we can't handle any more of this.
Yeah, and since that first babe, I've counted. And there have been 5 instances where he says babe. And I think he's like, I'm going to test the waters with this one, and if she doesn't react, that's her name from now on. Because he says it twice in one sentence. It's crazy. And he goes, babe, you got this? And she goes, I got this.
I got this,
bro. And Hudson's trying to like sort of buy time because he realizes that Macy has got like 2 minutes before she's actually able to finish the portal. And he's trying to buy time by like being really sarky and taking the piss. And he's trying to pass on secret messages to Jackson, which completely fall flat. Well, what a shit code. Like, even I didn't understand it. Like, I understood it as get Grace out of here.
Yeah, Hudson.
Like, I stole Grace from you.
Yeah, he's like, ever since.
Are you going to take her back?
Ever since I stole his mate. And Jackson's like, you didn't steal my mate.
He's like, yeah, maybe you should take it back.
And then Grace is like, yeah, maybe you should steal something. Which apparently was code for go take all of the batons.
Which, genuinely, how could you get from one end to the other of that code?
And okay, so
he's a terrible
Jackson fades around the circle and steals all of their beating sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't they all have the exact same ability to fade? Couldn't they just come and take them all back?
Yeah, but Jackson's super fast.
You're faster than the others, but not stronger.
Yeah, like he fades around, takes all of their sticks, but I'm like, well, what are they going to do with the sticks? They don't even use the sticks. The sticks are never brought up again, guys.
Did they take them with them?
They steal the batons and just leave.
Did they take them?
Wait, yeah, they took them. Jackson throws them all to everybody. Everybody catches one, but then they fuck off.
I said, of course.
Nobody uses them.
Of course, the British vampires fight with whacking sticks. Where this is America.
I knew you'd bring that up.
We need to have machine guns. That's what we should be. That's what they should be stealing. They need some. They need a bazooka to fight the vampires.
No, we've got truncheons. Yep. I bet they all have names for them as well, like the Punisher. The Annihilator.
Skull Crusher.
Did they say like it had like an electric shock, like it was like a cattle prod?
Did it? Did they say that?
I don't know, but because it sounds really pathetic having vampire guards using sticks. They literally could be killed with their own sticks.
Oh my god, I've got an idea. Garlic sticks. I love garlic sticks.
Could you stick a garlic stick in the heart?
Yeah, like you push it like one of Olive Garden's garlic bread sticks. You just push it into the heart.
You never took me to Olive Garden.
Oh, I didn't. Well, they have good garlic bread sticks. So you just stab one.
Well, I wouldn't know.
It bends in half.
I wouldn't know.
And then you take a bite. Num, 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 num. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, they all leave, apparently, yeah, and Grace is digging down deep into the roots and is like, trees, come to me, trees, help me, trees. And the trees answer and just start ripping shit apart. And meanwhile, everybody's left. And apparently Hudson's the only one to go, okay, we can stop now. Stop now.
Let's go, babe.
Because somebody stabbed her tree. And she goes crazy. And we never hear of this ability ever.
How dare you harm my forest?
Yeah.
I thought that this was going to be that moment. I really did think that this was going to be a plot twist moment where Grace starts
turning into a tree.
getting like progressively evil, like Daenerys Targaryen, like how she'll. I thought that this would be Grace progressively showing like a little bit of evil where she mercilessly slaughtered a bunch of people or a bunch of vampires and then she starts losing her humanity. But no, we just never hear about magical tree powers again.
Nope.
Which we
nope. Yeah. And the trees call her daughter, which is an interesting little snippet.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought she was a tree. Like, no, she's not just able to turn into stone. She can turn into a whittle.
Oh. Let's get into spoilers because I want to continue talking about this topic as well. Woo, woo, woo. Okay.
Woo, woo.
So you go ahead because you've got...
Yeah. So my spoilers is if Grace ever gets an itch on her finger, Hudson is in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if, like, the tiniest little itch, you wouldn't be able to distinguish between just a normal itch or, like, a supernatural itch. Like, did he just look at a girl across the street and go, that was it. That was all he did. He momentarily fantasized about a very swift life with this other person. I know my husband does it. He's not lied to me about it. He's like, yeah, sometimes I fantasize about walking down the street and I see someone and go, maybe I could have. But yeah, like, a momentary lapse in judgment, and there is no way that Hudson could ever get away with it. But at the same time, he's saying, I promise to love you till the stars grow cold and summon. It was really poetry.
It was beautiful, but that doesn't sound possible. I mean, it's very sweet. But it's like, so if your promise was, I love you to the moon and back, does that mean until you travel to the moon and back that you don't fulfill your promise and you have an itchy finger forever?
But also he's saying until the stars grow cold. No one wants that. No one wants the stars to grow cold because then we die.
Yeah.
And how long do vampires actually live for?
In this universe, I'm not sure.
Well, Cyrus is at least 1,000 years old.
Well, no, it's way more than that because he imprisoned Vander, which would have been around the same time as the Unkillable Beast, which is the end of the Gargoyles. Mm-hmm. And he would have had to have been in power for a long time before that as well.
Mm-hmm. But also the Bloodletter.
The Bloodletter was in charge before him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they don't know how old she is.
But I think she was the gargoyle queen, not the vampire queen.
There's in the bonus chapters
they were both.
In the bonus chapters it talks about her being in charge of the like vampire army, like she was like command.
So as a couple they were both.
Yes, I think so. She commanded like
a merger.
So she was in charge of the vampires and she met the Gargoyle King at court and they danced and they mated, but they were both already in charge of their factions.
Ew.
They became
they danced.
They mated.
And then they mated.
Became mates. But they were both already in charge of their factions when it happened, so yeah.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking, like, he's only promised her that he'll love her forever. Like, that doesn't stop him from having sex with anybody else.
That's true. That's a big cop-out. He could have worded that very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you could do anything. Like, you could also love another person at the same time.
That's true.
Love is not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Is that the word?
Yeah.
Yes, it's not exclusive. You can still love another person, and that could be in the same way. So it could be polyamory, or it could be genuine, different kind of love. It could also be lust.
I thought that it was best. I really do think that Twilight gave the best emotional description of that, where Bella talks about how she doesn't want to be with Jacob, but she felt that she wanted to keep a claim on him because the thought of him being with anybody else would hurt her, but she wasn't going to be with him. She just had that emotion.
That's called selfish.
Yeah, it is selfish. It is very selfish, but she acknowledged that it was selfish. And it was accurate. I felt that it was very accurately described. And I think that most teenagers, when you're at that age where it's like, I date this person and then I date this person, but I still talk to this person. And you do have those feelings like in high school.
Yeah, meanwhile, it sounds awful, and I have discussed this with my husband before, so it's not going to be super crazy for him to ever listen to this episode and go, "What?" But if my husband ever came home and said, like, I'm not happy, I want to be with somebody else, and they will make me happy, I'd let him go. Because I love him more than my own happiness. If he isn't not happy with me, but would be happier with someone else or doing something else where he wasn't with me, then I would want him to be happy.
I wish that I was noble and British enough to say the same, because it sounded so noble coming out of your mouth. I can't say that. Now, I talk about healthy relationships and things like that all the time, but I've been married 12 years. I'm feral now. I fart in public. I poop with the door open.
Oh, you do? I don't want to do it again. I don't want to go through that process again. And if I can rectify the relationship, and if I can salvage it, then I will. Like, I'm not going to say that I won't fight for it.
Yeah,
But if he said, I am truly not happy with you and I would rather be somewhere else, I'm like, well, okay, if that would make you happier.
Here's the thing. I'm the very best that no one ever was.
Well, how did you segue into Pokemon? But do you know what I mean? Where, like, sometimes the happiness of the person that you love is more important to you than your own happiness.
Yes, and I feel that with my daughter. I want my daughter to be more successful than me someday. That is a hope I have for her happiness. If she decides that she wants to move to another country someday to fulfill herself, I will be sad, but I will put her happiness above my own, and I will allow her to go. I can see it in that sense. With my husband, I can understand it. I can read about it. I can see it. I can understand why people can do it. For me, I cannot. I will be a nightmare. I will be an absolute living terror. But, you know, I'm like, I can always pull that, like, well, good luck finding another, like, 6-7 figure business owner. Like, good luck.
Oh, you'd be bitter about it. You'd be horrible that way. I see.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I would go find me, like, we talked about this. I was like, we joke about it all the time, but I was like, I'll go find me some little college boy and go to
bamboozle him with my money.
I'll become a cougar. Like, I'm only 30.
You would say that with zero social awareness of how awkward you are in public.
Absolutely.
You walk up to him and just go, I have money.
Hey, I have money and I have video
Alcohol.
games. Teenagers like video games, right?
I also, just like, I have a dog.
I have candy in my car.
Love me. I have candy in my car. Would you like to stroke my puppy?
Oh, God. Here's the thing.
And you open the van. You have to have a van. Van door and just go stroke the puppy.
Here's the thing, right? As I'm 30 now. And when I look at teenagers now, and when I say teenagers, I mean like above 18, like 18 and 19 for all you weirdos out there who are like, ew, Starla, don't be gross. No, when I look at like graduates, you know, in college, I say college kids, but you know, that's anywhere from 18 to what, like 20, I would say like 22 is what I would consider a college kid. They look very different to me now. And I always do this like, did we look that little? Did we look that stupid? Did we? And apparently the answer is yes.
Did I look that bewildered at life?
Was I? And they're small. I'm like, what was that? Was I that small? And I'm still that small, but I don't know. I feel like they look.
You have a over self-inflated ego now of I am an elder.
I feel
I am more important.
It's not that I'm more important. I think that I'm just starting to look old. Because you know what? It's ever since I went to my high school and spoke last year, and that little. I hope you're listening. I hope you're listening, you little 17-year-old girl who told me that she guessed my age, and she said 40. And I was like, what? And she's like, no, it's fine. That's how old my mom is. And you look about the same age as her. What? So I'm bitter. I'm bitter. I think that I look very young for my age.
I'm saying nothing.
You think I look old, don't you?
Well, to me, I know. To me, I know that you are the same age as me by like less than a year. But you have a kid. You are way more financially secure than me. You've been married for 12 years, so already my brain.
So I did a bunch of dumb things when I was a teenager.
Yeah, but I think that you could have been a lot worse off. You could have been divorced by now. You could be having grandkids by now.
Well, my kid's 10, so I would hope not. Mm-hmm. Then again, I could have.
But you could have had a kid like way earlier. But you could be a grandma by now. Like, you could have had multiple children. Like, you could look way older just by doing and having things that other people don't have. But at the same time, I've made my own choices in the way that I've lived my life. So therefore, I might look younger to a lot of people, and then they go, "Oh, you've done nothing with your life."
I think that we both look like young women who don't drink
wise.
And smoke cigarettes. I think that's the perfect definition. We look like we are in our 30s and we don't drink a lot of alcohol or smoke cigarettes, because that's what ages you. Like, that's...
And we're healthy in the glowy way, not the I drink health shakes in the morning way.
Yeah, there you go.
Healthy as in I will survive an apocalypse with my blubber.
I've lost about 5 pounds of blubber the last month.
Yeah, but I think no matter how much weight you lose, you will always have hips and boobs.
Oh God, the giant butt is here to stay. That doesn't go away. That's just a part.
It's a staple. It's a starless staple.
It is a starless staple. Trademark. Anyway, where the hell were we? I can't even remember what we were talking about.
Second spoiler.
Oh, we're only on to the second spoiler.
The third one we've already kind of said.
Yeah, well, the third one was why she never does the calling of the forest again. I said that it was like the same reason that Feyre never uses the water wolves again, even though that was like the coolest power ever. She literally called the river in the frickin' in the rainbow to attack.
The Sidra.
The Sidra attack.
I was going to name my puppy like all of the water wolves, Sidran water wolf, Sidran ripple. It was going to go through that Casey name thing, and in the end, she was nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but that was like the coolest scene, and she never summons water wolves again. And I think that it's because when you're writing a story, it's like, oh, they've already seen this. They've already seen this amazing. Unless somebody has a signature power that they pull out, like they unleash their signature power.
It has to be a moment of inspiration to do it, not, oh, now I can do this thing. That was a great idea. I'm going to keep using it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, she should have kept using it, but she didn't always fight next to a river, so maybe that.
And Grace doesn't always fight near trees.
Yeah. Grace doesn't really fight.
No, she doesn't. And even in Covet during the battle, she's just healing.
Yeah,
she's the mage and the healer.
Yeah, and then in the gladiator scene, she can't really do anything because she doesn't have any powers.
No, she just runs.
She's in the yes,
that's her power. She runs, and
I would love to know how that fight would have gone had she been able to access her demigod string.
She would just annihilate them. She would just explode.
Just like nope. Like touch them on the forehead with one finger and they go, ooh,
self-destruct.
I want to know how. So not Cherish, because we're obviously gonna read about it. Charm, Cherish. Which one's what? Which one's which?
Charm's about
keep
to come
getting
out.
confused.
November.
Yeah, that's the Hudson.
Yes.
Hudson time. So Charm. I want to know exactly what she can do now that she is literally the most powerful human being walking around. I want to know, like, what that means for her. Because, you know, when you get to that point of, like, I am literally the most powerful, every book or every movie and every TV series is like, ha, no, psych, no, you're not. Look, here comes this older thing.
But I am the chosen one. Well.
Like, I think it's in Vampire Diaries, they're like, this is the oldest vampire. Like, no, psych, I am the oldest vampire. And then the next season's like, no, I am the oldest vampire. I'm like, God, stop it, please. Just come up with something different. Or like, oh, I am a vampire werewolf hybrid. And then the next spin-off series is like, no, I am a tribrid. I'm all three. And you're like, this is silly now. And I get it that people watch it for entertainment, and I'm sure that I would love it, but at the same time, there's a point where one-upping gets quite monotonous.
Yeah, that can't be the entire plot.
Yeah, like Cyrus to me was a great villain.
Because
he's gone.
Yeah, he's the one villain. So now they're literally, the next villain is going to be almost,
worse.
It's going to be in a different realm.
Yeah, and he's got to be worse.
Yeah.
But what kind of worse villain would you be able to tackle in one book?
A dark...
Because it took Grace 4 books to tackle. I mean, admittedly, the first book, she didn't really know about Cyrus.
No, not at all.
But yeah, 4 books it took to defeat him. And she had to become a demigod to do it. And have multiple armies.
Yeah.
And now she's like, yeah, it's okay, we're going to go into the Shadow Realm and I'll be fine and I'll finish it in 1 book.
Maybe it'll be a big book.
Oh, God, don't be bigger than Court. Please don't be bigger than Court. I still don't have that on my bookshelf. I might have to reinforce the brackets.
You know what I've noticed is that the Crave books are very lightweight.
It's because all of the deckled edges.
They're so light. They're like weightless.
I think it's the paper.
It might be.
Yeah.
The last thing that I had, though, was, so Grace with her earth magic and summoning the trees, we find out in Court that the spooky tree that she encounters in Crave, like when she takes her first little walk around the Katmere grounds, she sees a spooky tree that she doesn't want to go near, and we had a whole episode laughing about the spooky tree. And then we find out in Court that that spooky tree signifies, like, it marks a path that leads to some ceremonial altar where Cyrus, he uses that to start, like, to wage war. I don't know. Was that her first, like, ability to, like, kind of tune in to the trees? Like, was that tree like, hey?
It's possible, because nobody else has said anything about the tree being particularly spooky. They're like, stay away from the spooky tree. No one has mentioned it.
So that tree was...
But I do think that also when she first saw it, she wasn't really tapped into her powers at all.
Yeah. But she did have a feeling. I've never seen a tree and been like, ugh, I have to stay away from that.
I mean, I've seen trees that look pretty gnarly, and it's more like, oh, that's an interesting tree, not clearly someone died and became a tree.
That's the tree that I want to check out. I want to check out the spooky trees.
Yeah, the dead tree. Yeah, like I'm hoping that as Charm comes out, that also Cherish. She's a gargoyle for longer in Cherish.
Yeah, I also I have a speculation for Charm that from this scene with the watch where Hudson says something about how how's your leg, Reginald? He's bringing up that he obviously has hurt Reginald's leg at some point, which would have had to have been before he was killed by Jackson. So I'm thinking that in Charm we're going to get a scene of, I mean, it would be the only, why would Tracy put that in there? It's almost like,
was it not during the fight where Mackay got really hurt?
You're right. Well, no, because Hudson wasn't...
I don't remember any of the guards getting particularly hurt in any particular
Hudson
way.
wasn't out of Grace's head yet.
No, but it wouldn't have mattered to him because he would have still experienced it.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been able to be the one to hurt Reginald's leg. No. He was saying it...
I don't know then.
We'll see.
I don't know. But I'm hoping that she's a bit cooler because, like, Hudson goes, do you know what gargoyles can do when it's really cool? And then she uses a power that's not even a gargoyle power. So what was he expecting her to do?
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe because he knows that they can use earth magic, and he's already seen her make pretty flowers and heal a tree. Maybe he knew that she would be able to do something.
I'm also sad that the giants didn't help. They gave them a back door. They literally got out the back door, and then the giants just watched this happen.
Maybe they distracted or tried to distract them. We don't know where they were.
Maybe. But also, I thought that the giants would also be equally angry about their forest being
destroyed,
attacked.
Yeah.
Dunno. But we never see the giants again.
No, we don't. Maybe we will in the next book. Who knows? All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure that you join the Facebook group at Crave the Book Podcast Tea Room. I always forget that. I don't know why. Crave the Book Podcast Tea Room on Facebook. And you can...
And let us know in there, like, whether you're planning on going to visit Tracy during her trip.
Yeah.
I'd love to know who's getting tickets. Because also, apparently, don't just get the tickets to get there. Like, don't just buy the coach or train or plane or car tickets or whatever to get there. Also check where she is going to be to see whether you need to book tickets for the actual event, because there are some that don't need tickets, but there are some that do. Yeah. Phoenix mentioned that the other day, which is why I'm waiting to book my tickets to Barcelona, because there is no point in me booking flights now and then waiting for tickets to go on sale for the event, and then actually realizing that those tickets have sold and I need to go to a different country instead.
Yeah.
I have the whole of Europe that I could go to. I could go to Germany, I could go to France, I could go to Spain, and I could go to Italy. Can't remember the other countries that are on her European tour, but I'm happy to travel to any of them. But because I speak fluent Spanish, I thought that Spanish would be the best, and my French is so rusty.
Oh, and if she doesn't speak Spanish, you could translate for her.
Yeah, when I say I'm fluent,
she can ask where the bathroom is and ask you for a glass of water.
I can order a mean hot chocolate and churros.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. And hopefully we rambled a lot at the beginning, but hopefully you laughed a lot, because I thought this episode was pretty funny. And
yeah, I look forward to seeing the title.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.